Well, hi friends, welcome back to Not Your College Life with Lisa Beals, episode number 49. I am Lisa Beals, your host, and I am the Midwestern mom / college administrator who's done the college thing myself and sent a couple kids through school and realized universities do not make it easy on parents or students to figure it all out. And I believe that in college, classes should be hard, not navigating the higher ed system. So I'm here to bridge the gap for you and your student so you can just focus on taking that emerging adult and coaching them into a successful and productive adult so that you can move on to empty nester syndrome. So in this week's episode, we are talking about majors, choosing a major, changing a major. Scary, right? Sometimes your 18-ish year old knows exactly what they want to do. They have known since they were 5 that they were going to be a teacher or a nurse or a fireman. And other times they have no idea and they're looking around them to decide, what are they doing? What are they doing? What do you want me to do? So I'm going to go through and share some things for you to consider when coaching your student about major selection, okay? All right, so let me start this off by saying it is almost never good, and it almost never results in a positive when you are telling your student the major they should choose, and for whatever reason, they consent. Whether it's, I'm paying the tuition, you're going to do what I say because I want you in a career that's going to make some money. Or whether it's, you are ever so innocently giving them feedback of what you think they would be amazing at, and they don't realize because you haven't set that expectation that as they're emerging into an adult, that they can change the dynamic and offer you feedback and not just receive your comment. So that's like number 0. That's foundation. If you have not already had that conversation with your student, please sit down and have that talk with them. Even if it's via a Zoom call or a phone call, don't do it text. I see too many arguments arise because people are putting their own spin on what that text message says. I hear inflection, I hear attitude, I hear exclamation points where there aren't, and it's not good. So have a verbal conversation with your student to say, I need to be incredibly transparent with you that your major choice is your major choice. I only want you to be happy and to have a productive life. And if you think you can make a career out of whatever you love, then great. I'm here to encourage you, to help you figure that out. That doesn't mean you're going to find the answers. That means if they love gaming, okay, that sounds like an amazing career choice. What can you do with that? Now, if you listen to a prior episode that I did with Alicia, the college life coach, you'll notice the way I said that. What can you do with that? It was not, well, what can you do with that? I know you heard the difference. And one will elicit excitement and enthusiasm, and the other will make them feel deflated and reprimanded. Now, as ridiculous as it sounds, gaming as a career, you guys, there's graphic design. There is I don't even know what the dollar figure is, market out there for gaming, right? Who hasn't heard of Minecraft and Call of Duty and Mario Brothers? Someone has to design that. Someone has to test it. Someone has to market it. And friends, there are grown individuals on the YouTube that do nothing but record themselves playing a game and offering commentary about what they like and dislike about the game, about how to win at the game, about cheats with the game. They're making their living playing a video game. It's happening. That's a global opportunity. So I'm pretty hard pressed for you to tell me that XYZ career choice is not going to make a student money. So if you've got one that you think your student will never be able to put food on the table and a roof over their head, I want you to email me and let me know. And I'll dig into it and let you know if you're right or if I've confirmed that there's something else out there that you hadn't considered. Okay? So that's zero. That's groundwork. That's before anything else. Okay, so then once you've established that major choice is theirs, and you've looked them in the eye, that's important. They need to look at you. They don't need to be distracted. After we've set the foundation, I want you then to give them a few tasks, okay? The first one is I want you to tell them that they need to look inside and be reflective. And they're going to tell you, I don't know how, they can't articulate it, but how much time have they really spent thinking about it, right? This is for the undecided, right? This is not for the kiddo that has said since they were 5 they want to be a teacher, although this would probably be a really good exercise. I have a friend that I recently met who said that she knew she wanted to be a teacher ever since she was 5 years old. All through high school, she went to college. That was her career choice in college, and it wasn't until her junior year that it dawned on her that teaching, like she thought teaching, like elementary school teacher, the idea of that really didn't light her up anymore. She lost that somewhere along the way, and that instead she wanted to go into student affairs and helping. So still teaching, but not in a classroom. She went on to pursue her master's and her PhD in student affairs, and now she is helping first generation at-risk students find their way, make the most out of a university and all the resources that they didn't even know were there. So that's just to say, even if they are 100% confident that they know what they want, this probably would be a good exercise for them to just confirm in their own hearts and minds that, yep, that's still what I want to be. So I would say they need to take some uninterrupted downtime, put their phone away, go somewhere quiet, take a walk, go to a quiet room, whatever, and consider what kinds of things do they like to do that bring them joy. What hobbies do they like? What are they naturally good at? What do others come to them and ask them for help on? Is it coaching a friend in a sport? Is it navigating a new computer? Is it writing? Is it childcare? The list could go on, right? What do they really love to do that fills them up, that energizes them? What hobbies do they enjoy? What are they naturally good at? And what do others come to them on the regular asking for help for? That should take them a good 15 minutes. Have them set a timer and just start writing. Freestyle writing, no thought. Even if they're writing, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. That's what they should write until the words come to them. The brain needs sometimes a little jiggle to let the thoughts come loose. So it's okay to just write, I have no idea what to write. I have no idea what to write. And then the words will come. Set a timer, 10 to 15 minutes, do that. Then put it away. Put it away. And then revisit that in a couple of days. Do they need to do that exercise again? If they have a few ideas already, but they're not 100% sure, then I'm going to suggest that they reach out to their network of contacts, your network of contacts, and arrange some job shadowing. Now, I'm telling you this in hashtag COVID, January-ish of 21. So that may or may not be a possibility, but certainly there's opportunity. They can take precautions. Some employers are going to be flexible to this. If your student is doing random testing already, they can do a mask, gloves, whatever. They can socially distance. Have them at least make the ask to consider job shadowing in a career that they think they would enjoy. And this is your network of friends, your family's network of friends, their network of friends, teachers, principals, whatever. People, in my experience, really enjoy being able to play a part in helping a student find their thing. So don't feel like you're imposing. And if they give you that feedback, fine. Hands off. Okay, never mind. I'll find someone else. It's simple enough. So it's jotting down some thoughts, doing the brain dump, revisiting your brain dump in a couple of days to make sure that's still true. Then they're going to job shadow. Next, they're going to consider, what kind of salary might I expect to earn with this career choice? And I'm going to post on my show notes, I'm going to post some links that there is a link in my show notes from it looks like Hetchinger report. It talks about which majors pay and which majors don't pay. And this is everything from trade school jobs to post-secondary careers, okay? So you can give them that link and tell them to do their homework. And does that salary, is that going to meet their needs and expectations for the life that they want? Have them do some homework. What can they reasonably expect to make? Where would they expect to find a job? Right? Because where they live is going to make a difference on, is that salary going to be enough? The salary that I make in the Midwest allows me to comfortably afford my mortgage, my car payment, and all the other things that I need. But if I were to take my current salary and move to Washington State or Virginia or Massachusetts, I would be struggling. So isn't this a great lesson for your kids to dig in and research what's cost of living in Indiana versus Washington State versus North Carolina versus North Dakota? And what are the average salaries in those states for the career that I'm looking for? So it sounds great, right, to live in LA or New York or on the beach, but how much is it going to cost me to live there? What am I going to have to sacrifice to have that career and work where I want to work? And is that something that I'm willing to accept? Or is that something I'm willing to work towards, right? So when I move out, I'm probably going to move into an efficiency or a small one bedroom. It's not going to be in the best neighborhood. Or my first car is not going to be brand new. It might need, make a little bit of noise or have a little bit of rust. It's going to be a progression. And if your kiddo doesn't realize that now, they need to start learning that lesson and come up with and make peace with the fact that when I graduate, even if I go to a 4-year institution and graduate with an amazing degree, that doesn't assure me my dream job in my dream city, in my dream house. Now it happens for some, right? I just saw a post on one of the parent groups that I'm in where their kiddo graduated with their engineering degree and they landed their dream job at NASA. It happens for some, but the stars need to align. The right person needs to retire. You need to have the exact major GPA extracurricular to fit that mold. It's going to happen for some. But for the most, let's realize your path, your student's path from infancy to adulthood and productivity is not a straight line. It's going to be a big squiggle. It's going to look like what they color in their coloring book when they're 3. Outside of the lines and messy. And that's okay. Because that's where life's most important lessons occur. And you know that. But you need to tell them that. Tell them it's okay. And tell them to embrace it. And to take the lessons that God's going to give them in those messy times. Okay, the next thing that your student would need to consider is, does their high school or university have some resources? And I'm telling you, the answer is not no. The answer most assuredly is yes. It's just they need to ask and they need to take advantage of them. So, high school, college has resources to do career assessments, interests, to dig in to careers that maybe they didn't even know existed. And what do I need to do to be able to get a job doing that? Okay, so I don't care if they're going to tell you, I know everything they have to offer. I'm going to ask you to ask them, humor me. Go and make an appointment, talk to them. Because you may discover that you know what you want to do. And then when you do some research with the Career Center, you realize, holy mackerel, no. I worked with a student who was certain they wanted to be an occupational therapist. So they started at a junior college, transferred to a private 4-year, all with this plan in mind because they knew that they were going to work in a hospital setting as an occupational therapist. So they graduated college and started pursuing applications for their professional. They needed to get a doctorate to be an occupational. They needed to get a doctorate to be an occupational therapist. Now this kiddo had already borrowed a lot of money to go to school. His junior college did not advise him well, so he had wasted an entire year of college and tuition his freshman year. Had to make up for that at a expensive private 4-year. So he did graduate in only 5 years with his undergraduate degree. But because he spent 2 years at a private college, that sucked more out of his loan eligibility. Did you know that you have a lifetime loan eligibility through the Sallie Mae, the subsidized and unsubsidized loans? You have a cap, a lifetime cap. After that, it's private loans. Did you know that? He didn't know that. So he had $2,000 left in his lifetime cap for student loans that were not private and expensive. A doctorate in occupational therapy was going to be expensive. And as he dug into how am I going to pay for that? What's going to be my return on investment? He started doing this exercise, right? What is my anticipated salary, starting salary? How many years will I need to work to pay back the investment in this doctorate degree? And they realized it was going to be about 4 years, right? 4 years income. If it was 100% of their income, 4 years would have repaid their student loan for the doctorate only. This doesn't include the loans they had for their undergraduate degree. But friends, he also then looked for current job postings and realized that today where he lived, he's not willing to move because he recently got married after graduation and they're starting a family. So they wanted to be still near family. So now his demographic has changed on where he is eligible to work. Opportunities for an occupational therapist where he lives now are now limited to nursing homes. That's not where he wanted to work. He wants to work in a hospital. He considered even working for a sports team, but they're mostly looking at physical therapy, not occupational therapy. So now after 4 years of college with this eye on the prize to be an occupational therapist, he's got to pivot now. Now, that's not to say that there's not valuable lessons to be learned in that and that it was a bad thing. But I say all that to say, if your student can do the homework before they've earned that degree, they could learn those lessons sooner and theoretically not exit university with a monkey on their back of student loan debt and not having the career opportunities available that they thought they had available to them at graduation. So there's that. And then the last thing to do after the Career Center is, what does it hurt for them to declare an undecided major or an exploring major their first year? A lot of institutions have such an opportunity, and those advisors are typically really well versed in the majors across the entire university so that they can advise the student on the classes that have the most applicability to whatever degree your student wants. Now, that's not to say that every class will check a box on a degree plan, because if they're exploring and they take a intro to engineering course or an intro to pharmacy course and they end up pivoting into business or education, those don't really apply to a plan of study anywhere. But a 3 credit hour course to test it out is way cheaper than a 4-year degree in something that you realize at graduation you're not going to get the job that you thought you wanted, and now you're going to have to revisit. The student I told you about was pursuing occupational therapy, interestingly, he's now pivoting and he's going to pursue, he at first considered respiratory therapy, going back and returning to school, going to a junior college, and getting a 2-year associate's degree in respiratory therapy. He didn't make it in that program, which I still scratch my head today. Why you would not take a person of color that is a male in a white female dominant industry today, who has earned a bachelor's degree, so they've demonstrated their ability to succeed. Why you wouldn't take someone like that to boost your numbers, I don't get. That has to be a God thing, knowing that wasn't right for him. So now he's headed towards the surgical tech, which, again, docs are going to love having a strong guy in the OR that can help them manipulate the patient around when they're doing procedures. So he's really excited about that. I hope it works out for him. But nonetheless, finally, this last thing. So we talked about ground zero, laying the foundation for expectations. Then the first one is having them do a brain dump and reflect on it a couple times. Having them job shadow. Having them check out university or high school resources for Career Center to investigate that. Number 4 was have them explore their first year. Undecided exploratory major their first year. And then last tip, number 5. Is post-secondary really the right thing for them? Now, I'm a huge advocate for post-secondary because I think it teaches them more than just career readiness. There's got a lot of life lessons, time management, personal development, self-advocacy. There's a lot you can learn from post-secondary. But if they don't know where they're going and exploring is not right for them, have them consider, take some time to go in the workplace, right? Especially if they've got some health issues, either physical or emotional health issues, that going away to university may exacerbate. That can be really tough. I deal with that stuff all the time at my day job. It's not a good experience. So if they've got physical or emotional health issues, that a departure to university where there is a lot of pressure could exacerbate that. Maybe university is not the best next step. So is it a vocational trade, right? Plumbing, HVAC, welding, electrician. Y'all, a plumber is going to make $46,000 a year. HVAC, the average salary on that Hettinger report, $59,000 for HVAC. That's a trade school. They're always going to have a job. Now, whether or not they would enjoy that is another question. But there's so much availability. There's so many things to consider outside of, in addition to, a 4-year university degree. Okay? And the bottom line is, y'all, they're going to spend the next 40 to 50 years doing this. Potentially. And I don't know who said it, but you will never work a day in your life if you find something that you love to do. And almost every parent I've talked to has said, I just want my kiddos to be happy. Isn't this it? Finding what they love and turning it into a career. So there you go, friends. Whatever you can do to help encourage your kids to find their passion and their love and to find a way to make it a career, you will be their hero for it. You'll be their hero. Okay, show notes. If you need any of the links for the information that I shared in here, the articles that I pulled to create this, you can go to lisabeals.com and find my show notes. If you haven't already, I would love an iTunes review. Thank you, thank you, thank you in advance. I'll take a 5-star review. If you need to give me less than 5 stars, that's okay, friends, because I know you're going to give me feedback, so I know where to improve. And lastly, if this would be helpful to your student or to a friend, do me a favor and share this episode with them and let me know you shared it. I so appreciate the time you guys take to spend with me every week. Until next time, take care.